friends, Jewel back with you today with another super cool astrology video. So this one's a little bit overdue, but I'm finally getting to it. So let's talk about what's going to happen, what's been happening as Jupiter's been transiting through the sign of Scorpio. So this lasts from October 2017, October 10th, 2017, until November 8th, 2018. So it will be a lot of the theme through next year. So this transit gives us more collective understanding in the realm of Scorpio, and then that distills down to a personal understanding. Jupiter is our group morality and our cultural agreements, and really represents the superego. With Jupiter moving through Scorpio, we are reassessing as a society, whatever society you happen to be in, and then collectively in a world society, what the agreed upon morality or culturally taught standards and rights and wrongs are. What does that look like for us? So it brings a revision of the collective moral code, the underlying principles and belief systems that give rise to behaviors are being addressed. We will see more sexual impropriety coming to light, and even sexual addictions or deviations being brought up to be digested, often publicly. Scorpio is a covert, secretive style. Jupiter is naturally an open, unfettered planet. It's about growth through expansion. Scorpio seeks to keep things hidden, but Jupiter just can't keep a secret. So this is why we see such things as affairs, sexual harassment, impropriety, pedophilia, behaviors where disrespect between the parties is involved. That's really taking the headlines for a reason. Jupiter is a cultural planet. So Jupiter stands for the truth. When it moves through a sign that is about secrecy, it's going to reveal secrets. A type of intimacy that springs from honesty, that stems from coming clean, is really the result of the kind of drama that this transit creates. It's very much like we have the chance to become more intimate with ourselves when we are admitting what we truly want. So this is a gritty time for a lot of people. Many repressed desires that are motivated by the need to really gorge oneself on selfishness, or what some would call sin, are floating on the surface of our personal oceans, just waiting to be discovered. So it's our own form of ambergris, the vomited up admissions that can be then mined for something incredibly valuable, the value of insight. Jupiter, along with Venus, represents what we value. Venus is the value that we give to the sensual and the superficial, the beautiful. Jupiter is the deeper values that we give to happiness, hope, our vision, faith. we are willing to spend everything on Jupiter. Think about it. Above all, people are willing to pay for hope. That's why religion makes so much money, and people who peddle hope. Religion sells hope. Often philosophies can sell hope. And that's really where the big money is to be made. So be careful what you invest in at this time, during this transit. Fakes and charlatans, politicians are very much on the prowl, extra stealthily this year and next. And they will play into your fears to appeal then to your hopes. They scare you, and then they are also the cure. They are the savior for that fear. So your fear is the door that you let them in through, and then your hope opens your pocket and lines theirs. Hypocrisy is in special danger of being exposed at this time. And really, exposure is the key word for this particular transit. Jupiter is the original exhibitionist of the zodiac. This dude moving through Scorpio is when he really exposes his private parts. Those who espouse to be about truth and religion, but are truly motivated by and are hiding greedy or selfish behaviors, are the ones who will find themselves exposing those motivations. This can lead to a process of self-reconnection and intimacy then, which again is the deeper reason for this transit. Another thing that we see during this time is a growing understanding and tolerance for sexual diversity and sexuality that is different from the cultural norm. Now, this is not to say that the same selfish behaviors that Jupiter and Scorpio is exposing will be accepted and tolerated. Those are more, selfishly deviant behaviors that take something from somebody else. Scorpio rules the resources of other people. It's opposite to the second house of the resources that we make for ourselves. People who are taking things in an eighth house way, and consider that sexual assault or harassment or rape, these are really some of the most personal, damaging ways that you can take something, take a precious resource from another person. You can actually steal their security. You can steal everything through those types of behaviors. Those are not the ones I'm talking about a growing tolerance for. The growing understanding and tolerance is really for behaviors and moralities that are not damaging and controlling to others, but are different or unfamiliar to our own. So transgender people, cultures that are coming further along in their acceptance of homosexual people, polyamorous couples, different ideas of what sexual relationships can be. These are all things that we reestablish a collective and then consequently personal understanding of. Another side to having Jupiter transiting through Scorpio is the way that it lends to conspiracy theories. They tend to come to a head when we have a transit of Jupiter going through Scorpio. There's really a rise in suspicion regarding those who make the rules and what hidden belief systems that they, dark connected figures may have in place. Talk of secret societies and, the man behind the curtain that controls everything are really front and center when we have a transit of Jupiter going through Scorpio. So, because Jupiter is our beliefs and our sense of the truth, it's our equilibrium, our reference point. I liken it to the fluid of the inner ear. Because it represents those things, we often don't know what to believe with this particular transit. And so we tend to often err on the dark side, the side of suspicion. And so I'll say this in regards to the topic of secret societies or group conspirators. People who are motivated to get together and develop a secret plan, people that are motivated really to get together and secretly control or manipulate the rest of us, they would have traits and personalities that would make them prone to not being able to work well together. The kinds of characteristics that a person would have to have in order to purposely want to starve or deny or kill or enslave a population are not the kinds of characteristics that people who cooperate well together have. So wealth does not change that. It actually exacerbates that. It makes being cooperative more difficult. So while there are groups and institutions and companies and corporations and governments that do seek power, influence, money, or control, there's also the fact that sociopaths and psychopaths do not work well with anyone, let alone cooperatively together in a group. There is a limit to what people with selfish intentions can accomplish because of this human fact. So keep this in mind when you get deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of conspiracy and conjecture over the course of this particular transit. So Jupiter in Scorpio will bring out hidden elements in our culture. It's like a colon cleanse for the bowels of our society. And it's an important transit because of how it can deepen our collective understanding and therefore acceptance of what is required to become more intimate with each other. So this happens collectively. It happens in a societal way when we have a Jupiter transit. And it is that cultural shift that affects us personally. But really, we're responding to the changes that are a result of the collective unconscious seeding us to see a deeper truth about who we are and what we are all secretly motivated by, with a lot of these events of public exposure, that being what drives these talks about what is this that we are about? What is it that we are all going to enforce as a culture? What is the moral code that we all believe in? What is right and what is wrong? So when we examine how we fit into our cultural view and the paradigm of right and wrong, then again it helps to deepen our own intimate understanding of ourselves and where we are personally coming from and how we fit into all of that, and how we really can't separate ourselves from the whole. So I hope this was helpful. And I will be back with more transit videos in the future. There's more to talk about for sure. There's always things moving through the sky, and I do need to branch out a bit. So let me know what it is that you want to hear about, and I will be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.